that? There we are.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. God, we're here. We're live.
I know we made it, and
Yes.
now in
And
my
you have the
boring
new
white
space.
house.
How's the move going?
It was rough, but we're here. It's week number 3. Still nothing on the walls, but hopefully that'll change in the next month.
Yep. That's fun. That's exciting. So,
Yeah.
hello everybody. This is the Oscar special. And did you watch them or did you catch anything from it?
I watched like some clips, but I don't have cable, so I did not get to watch it.
I watched it through Twitter. Whatever was shared, that's how I saw it.
Love it.
Some of the highlights I wrote down was the Batman thing with Danny DeVito, Arnold, and Michael Keaton. That was fun. I liked how Michael Keaton was dressed as like Adam West, Bruce Wayne. And then, this is totally nerdy. I tried to explain it to my mom, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't see what you mean." But like, it was the first time we saw like how his acting is under the mask, because there's like a certain aspect where he's like, he's Michael Keaton, and then he turned on the Batman, and then you could see his face like change, and you're like, oh man, that's exactly what he's doing underneath the mask. Ah, that's so cool. And then the other highlights was this "I'm Just Ken."
Oh
when,
yeah, I mean,
oh my god, that was incredible.
that was great.
It's so good.
I
So
love
good.
also the meme gold that came from that was like more enjoyable than the performance. Like all the memes I've seen from the Ken performance.
I love that Martin Scorsese's daughter Francesca was recording, and Martin was just so happy. He was just like, he's so happy to be there. It was great. I love that. That was so fun. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say, because my grandma was like, "Here's some money for your show." So today's episode is sponsored by
Oh,
my
Grandma!
Grandma, as you can see here in the background, I have lights, camera, and party. My mom got me those. And also, I forgot to show it in my unboxing video last week. I also got a blanket with cats.
Oh,
So
love
that's
it.
another sponsor, my mother. So, on with the show. This week, or I should say this month, we're talking about Maestro and Oppenheimer. Sarah picked Oppenheimer. I picked Maestro. And Sarah, explain your pick and why you picked it.
Okay. My pick was Oppenheimer. Why I picked it was because it got nominated for so many Oscars, and I'm like, I gotta at least know what's going on here. It wasn't particularly like on the top of my list to watch, which is why I didn't see it in theaters. But I was like, it feels like a cultural phenomenon, and I need to get on board with it. So, let's see. It took me several days to finish. It was very long, but long story, very, very long story short, it's basically the story, like it's a dual timeline story of like Oppenheimer, the dude who was like the mastermind behind the atom bomb, and Strauss, who nobody actually knew who that was until this movie came out, probably, unless you're a history buff. And basically, he's the guy who was running for. I'm still not 100% sure. I had to read a synopsis today to figure it out. But from what I understand, is that he's a senator who kind of was a Senate candidate for senator. I'm not sure. This is the worst synopsis ever. And he's trying to get confirmed to join some part of the government, and does not make it through the hearing, kind of screwed himself over basically because he screwed over Oppenheimer. It took me like 2.7 hours into the movie to like figure out where in time we were. And I felt like too stupid to watch this movie in some ways. So that's probably the worst summary I've ever given to a movie, but this is what I gathered from like hours of reading synopses and like really trying to get through this movie over several days.
Oh my gosh, I think you only understand the movie from the synopsis. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And
So,
yeah.
So
Frank, maybe you can give the audience a better idea of this movie.
Yeah. I guess I think I can. I actually didn't even watch it for the show because I've watched this movie so many times. I think I've watched it 3 or 4 times. like 2 times in the theater and like 2 times at home. So I was like, I don't need to watch it again. I'm good. But so this movie is about Oppie and his Salieri. You know, have you ever seen the movie Amadeus? There's a character called Salieri, and that's his Strauss. And like Strauss always wanted to be like one of the cool kids, like someone who makes a difference, like Oppie. And Oppie just like he's like a genius. He's like a genius. He can't really connect with people, and the people he does connect with, he's connected for life. Like you got the guy from the Santa Claus, Bernard. He's in this, and then you got Josh Hartnett from Halloween. And then who else is in this? You got, oh my god, the cast is stacked. We got Jack Quaid for some reason. We got Matt Damon, and this was the movie. I think this was finally the movie.
Josh Peck from Drake and Josh.
Yes, Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. And I was gonna say Matt Damon. I think this was the first movie where I realized what a great actor he is, because it just made me.
I didn't even know it was Matt Damon until like 2.5 hours into the movie, and Ari goes, who's been half watching it less than I was, he's like, is that Matt Damon? I'm like, no, that's not Matt Damon. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, that is Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Oh my gosh. There's a little backstory where he was supposed to be on break. Like he says, all right, he told his wife, I'm not gonna do any movies, I'm gonna spend some family time. The only job I'll ever accept is from Christopher Nolan. And then he gets the phone call for this movie. It's from Christopher Nolan. He's like, oh, I guess I gotta go back to work. But yeah, it made me realize that he was such a good actor, because I realized, oh my god, this guy can be like this general character. And then in something like Interstellar, he could be like the biggest piece of shit ever. And I was like, oh my god, he could do both. He could do both. This man's talented. How have I never seen this before? What the heck? So there's that. And who else is there's the stack cast. Huge cast. Emily Blunt, forgot to say that. Robert Downey Jr. We got Freddie Mercury himself. I forgot what his name is. Mr. Robot. He's in this. And then we got Florence Pugh. We got oh my gosh, we have the guy from Alien. Well, he's not an alien. He was cut from Alien. I forgot his name. But he plays the general who's like, we have a list of 11. I took Kyoto off the list because me and my wife had a lovely honeymoon in there. I was like, that guy, he's in this movie. And oh my gosh, but I'm getting off subject. So anyway, the movie's about Oppenheimer, and it's like these two like competing storylines of Robert Downey Jr. trying to be senator, and then what do you call Oppenheimer building the bomb, and then like they sort of like collide towards the end of the second act, or converge. Yeah, that's a better word. They converge towards the second act, and this movie is like always going. It's always edited, like it's furiously edited. For those who haven't watched my other review, I was sort of like Sarah when I first watched this. I was in a bad mood, mentally. I ordered pizza and it was frozen. I missed the 5 minutes of the movie, and then the sound was off, where the music was overbearing the audio track. So like the music was just like furious, and it's consistent music. I was like, oh my god, what is this mess? So I didn't like the first time, so I knew I had to see it a second time. I'm like, I have to give this movie a fair share. So my family loved it. It was so funny too, because my mom had no interest in seeing Oppenheimer. So when we saw it with my sister, my mom loved Oppenheimer. She's like, that's a movie I need to see again. She loved it so much. Same thing with my sister. So I'm like, all right, we'll go see it again. And I wanted to see it a second time, because that first time I don't feel like it counted. So the second time we saw it was at a bigger theater. The sound was correct. I was in a better mindset. I didn't order pizza this time because I didn't want to deal with the frozen pizza. And it was such a better experience, because this movie is so well edited. It's like a freight train. When it starts going, it keeps going. And not only that, but it helps you out, because a lot of biopics or like historical dramas, like you have to remember the character's name and you have to remember who they're representing. And whenever they mention it later in the movie, because you get introduced to a character and then you completely forget who they are like an hour in. What I like about Oppenheimer is that it cuts to the person they're talking to. Like they say Heisenberg. It's like an hour later. Like you meet Heisenberg for like one scene, like a little whoop, it's gone. And later in the movie, they mention Heisenberg, and it cuts to a quick visual of Heisenberg. You're like, oh, it's that guy. Okay. And they do that several times throughout the movie, where they're like, oh, it's this guy, and they show like Dane Hain or whatever. Or one of my favorite performances in this movie also, it's like one scene, but he steals the movie because he basically plays the devil himself. But I like Casey Affleck when he shows up in this movie, and he has his own like little theme, and it's so creepy. And whenever he's mentioned, or like it hints to him later on in the movie, it plays his little theme, and it's like creepy. It's like it makes you feel uneasy. But yeah, there's like all that I'm probably doing a worse job. I'm just explaining all my favorite
No,
things about it.
I feel like I've learned more about this movie in like the past 5 minutes than I have in like the 3 hours plus research I've done.
But yeah, the music is very powerful in this movie. The roles are really great, and this kind of movie. What I like about this is that since Christopher Nolan like stacked the cast, he could just focus on the filmmaking. Like he got the right people. He just can focus on what he needs to do: camera work, the shots, the editing, the music. He can focus on that, and the actors take care of the job for him. He doesn't have to worry about it. Like you have like Gary Oldman for like one scene, which is one of my favorite things ever. Hang on, let me get a little prop. He like gives his little napkin and he says, "Don't let that crybaby back in here." So good. Oh my gosh. And then you just feel like the guilt that Oppenheimer has after he's released the bomb. He feels like instant guilt because he doesn't know what happened, and then he realizes like the power of it, like during his speech of telling the people like we did it, and I bet the Japanese didn't like that, and like he's like feeling that. And what I like how they did that, Sarah, you won't believe this. They actually did that practical. What they
Really?
did was they took a picture of the set and then had a projection on set, and they would control how much the background would shake. So
Really?
it looks like the background shaking, but it's just a projector shaking the image. And I was like, oh my god, they did that practically, because I thought they did that after the fact. You know, you could easily do that after the fact. You know, like do
Right.
that and just edit it. But they did it all in camera, so it's just so that's
Why
like
do
a
you think
projection.
that? Why did Christopher Nolan make that decision to do it?
And
In real-
practically,
Yeah.
so he probably didn't have to worry about it later. Like it's done, it's in camera. We don't have to worry about it. I think if you can do it in camera, I would highly recommend that. Like that's to me, it makes it so much easier. Like if you could just do it practically, and like all those visions, you know, like of all the explosions and like the fission and the reactors. It was just a bunch of like prop masters like effing around with like props, and they were like recording with like micro lenses, and they were doing all that like practically, and I thought that was fascinating. I was like, holy
That's
crap, it's
cool.
not even like fake. They actually did like little mini explosions or had like a little miniature ball, and they just like sped it up so it looked like it was doing that. I was like, holy smokes, they actually did a lot of work for this movie. One of my favorite performances in this movie is Alden Heidenrich. He's the little press release guy who's working with Strauss in the black and white footage. Most people would know him as Solo from the Han Solo movie, or the guy from Hail Caesar. Touristo Sample, that guy. He's in this movie, and he does like a fantastic role as that character. And I like how they treat like historical history. There's like one line where he says, "Oh yeah, the people who didn't vote for you. There's some guy, some senator named Kennedy, John F. Kennedy." And I was like, "Oh my god!" It's like they're making a like a shared universe. Like that's the next movie. It's gonna be about John F.
Yes.
Kennedy. Oh my gosh! And of course, the guy who won the Oscar, Robert Downey Jr. I think this is one of his best performances. I said it in the last episode, but I guess I could talk about it more in this. It's because he can't rely on his old tricks. Because Robert Downey Jr. has, you know, he's gone through a lot in his career, and I feel like, again, his career has been revived. So like he used to be like a drug addict, alcoholic, all that, and then he got his career revived with Iron Man and Tropic Thunder, and it was like, oh yeah, this guy can act, and he used to, he's still the guy. But then he got stuck doing Iron Man for 10 years, and you kind of feel like, oh god, can he still do it? Can he still deliver a performance? And then Christopher Nolan called him and said, hey, I want you to for this role, but you can't rely on your old tricks. You can't, you can't be suave. You can't be cool. This character's not cool. He's like so insecure. He sees things his way. And like Sarah, I don't like. It took me like 3 or 4 times watching this movie, but you could notice how it's edited. Like in the beginning, it seems like him and Oppie are like on the same page, but as the movie
Yeah.
goes along, you look at the footage and it's like different takes, where it's like he's like laughing at the joke that Oppie's like making fun of his atoms, and then
Mhm.
later on the movie you just see him like angry at Oppie for making
Ooh.
fun of his atoms, and it's like different takes, but it's like how you see history. I just heard a quote today. It's like every time you think of a memory, you change it. So that's sort of what's going on with Robert Downey Jr.'s character with Strauss. Every time he thinks of the past, he's changing with his mind because he's putting his own perspective on it of
Mhm.
then and now. So he's like sort of like making it all about him. Like he thinks he's the main character when it's not really about him. It was never about him.
I
It
love
was
that part. I don't remember who said it to him. his assistant or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it could be very like they may not have had a conversation about you at all. Like they're two really smart people.
Yeah, it was never about you.
Yeah, and then like you find out it was literally not about him, right? But he's
Yeah,
like so consumed with like paranoia of like he's out to get me, you know?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. Oh my god, that just popped in my mind because I remember I noticed it a few months ago, but now it's just popping back in my head. There's like a shot in this where it reminded me of The Exorcist. Now I understand why, because it's very similar to The Exorcist in a way. So there's a scene in The Exorcist where the Pope, or not the Pope, he's like a priest, and some guy runs to him and says, "There's a letter from the Pope. They want you to do this exorcism." And it's similar. It's in this movie. It's Einstein walking in the woods, and Oppie runs to him with the thing like, "Here's the notes," and it's similar. Like it's about like almost like the devil or whatever. Yeah. That's so cool. I just realized that now. I'm like, oh, that's the connection. That's why he was doing that reference. It's like, that's so cool. So yeah, there's like little things in this that just remind me of like what Christopher Nolan likes as well. I should say this, as we're talking about this, because I don't think I've mentioned it in my other shows, but I remember for me personally, I kind of fell out of love with Christopher Nolan because I always felt like he became too commercial, and I'm like, he's good, but But this like made me like it revived my love for him. Like, yes, this is him. Like he's got it. He's got that that eye, that touch, that filmmaking skill. Because I just got used to his like commercial stuff, like the Batman, and his obsession with time. My God, his obsession with time is endless. Because he's obsessed like ever since the beginning of his career. He's Memento, where it's like told backwards, and then Interstellar.
Interstellar, yep, and also what's it called? Inception, like
Inception,
kind of very much
Tenet,
messes with time. Yeah,
Tenet, yeah, everything. So this one, I feel like he sort of finally nailed it, or found like a narrative way to tell the story. Like, yes, that works. That's really.
I didn't realize Christopher Nolan was Tenet. That was.
Yeah, he did that. The time where they're walking backwards.
Yeah, I love that. I watched it on a screen that was this big on a flight from somewhere. I've been wanting to. But that was like a movie. I'm like, I feel like all of Christopher Nolan's movies I need to watch like 10 times. Like,
yes.
Like you miss so much. You have like the first time is just like digesting the world. Like digesting the thing, and then I think I watched Inception like 5 or 6 times, and like every single time it's like there's something new about it, right?
Totally. You really do have to watch his movies multiple times because there's some things that you miss. Like I think it was our 3rd time in the theater, we saw it IMAX, and that time we finally seen a black glove holding the girlfriend's head in the water, implying that it was Casey Affleck drowning her, and we're like, oh my God, did Casey Affleck kill her? Holy shit. Because it makes it looks like she kills herself, but there's like one shot where you just see a glove holding her head down.
I knew before even seeing the hand that it was not a suicide. It's such a strong feeling about that.
Yeah. And there's some people that still don't understand that, because I remember there was a good tweet that says, oh man, I would have tried to kill myself too. Or they like, he should have killed himself. I'm like, he did try to kill himself. That's why he's in the woods trying to freeze himself, because he has tremendous guilt for not seeing
I think I missed. See, I even missed that.
Yeah, that's why Emily Blunt runs into the woods to find him. Like, you idiot, stop this, snap out of it, because he felt so guilty. He just tried to freeze himself out, and that's how he would. I guess he wanted to commit suicide. That's the only reason why he would do that, because it's like probably freezing outside, and he went out there to try to kill himself.
That makes more sense. I was like, why are they in the woods?
Yeah, that's all I could assume that was. Another thing I want to mention. Oh, it just popped in my head. Oh dang, now it left. F. Anyway, it was a good movie. I like this one. It stands out to me. The performances, the set design. I love that. Oh my God, if you watch the behind the scenes, that Oval Office. Like they didn't. So there's so many Oval Offices, available in Hollywood, but they were all being used at that time. So they had to build it within like 3 days.
Hollywood.
They had to build that set in like 3 days, and they had to use like a half-assed design and like really put it together so it was ready for the filming. And it's only that one scene with the freaking Gary Oldman.
Yep.
And that just amazes me about like movies, so you have no idea what problems there are or what compromises that they have to do in order to make it work. I love this movie. It's really awesome. trying to think. Like, I've talked about it so many times. I don't want to miss out on anything. So if anyone watches this, it's like, oh, what's the other thing I want to mention? I a special mention. The brother Frank. I like the brother Frank because I was like the first time I watched this, I'm like, who's that guy? I recognize him. He's the boyfriend character in the Halloween and Halloween Kills. He's the daughter's or granddaughter's boyfriend. I was like, oh, that's who he is. That's awesome. So I think that's all I got to say. So Sarah, what'd you think of it when you watched it? Because I loved your reaction. You're like, I don't like that I won so many Oscars. So let me hear it. What do you think?
Okay. I just say, like, after hearing you, as per usual, when you talk about movies, it makes me want to like rewatch it again and give it a second chance. And I do have to say, I think this movie would have been a far different experience in theaters. Like, I think I would, if I went to see this in a movie theater, I would have been really sucked in. But I was like, I don't know. It was like Friday night. I was watching it on my couch. I was like half distracted. So it's like one of those movies you can't really be distracted with, you know?
Yes.
So if it comes back to the Alamo by me, I'm definitely going to go try to see it in theaters. Mm-hmm. But I think part of it was like, as most people know who've watched the show before, I think like the storytelling is what really gets me. Like, it can be like a low budget movie, like the film could not be great, like all these things, but like I get really captivated by stories or like an emotional attachment to characters. Mm-hmm. And while I thought it was fascinating watching Oppie's journey, right? Oppie. And it was interesting. Like, if I'm comparing it to other nominees, like Poor Things, I'm like, it just doesn't hit it.
Poor Things, folks, I know. Literally.
So I think I was just like, you know, it won so like it like swept the Oscars, and I think part of me was just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't. Yes, it deserves a couple, but like what was it, like 12
all
Oscars
of them?
or something? Oscar, like we can't have like nothing else here for anybody else. There's more than this movie. I think like when after I finished watching it, I just didn't see what is the appeal? Like, I don't get it.
Oh, I think it was just because when it was released, it was such a big moment. Like, yeah. Barbenheimer was a moment. And definitely it was a moment, and definitely it's one of those movies that is great. But like when you said, like when you compare it to the other movies, like there's some other movies that like grab you differently. Like I love The Holdovers. That one, God, I watched that again in the theater and I was just devastated. And then the same thing with Maestro. I was sideswiped. We'll get to it, but I was like sideswiped, realizing how emotionally connected I was to that movie. I was shocked. But yeah, there's other movies out there that are great, and like what you said with Poor Things, that's like a whole like fantasy adventure thing. And this one, this one's like a freight train. It's almost edited like a movie trailer. It's like you got to get on board, and if you're not on board, you're probably not going to catch up later on. Like I said, when I had that bad experience, I had a hard time grabbing back onto the train. Yep. And there was a dude bro who was sitting next to me in the theater. I think his girlfriend wanted to see the movie because he was on his phone the whole time. But yeah, it's one of those movies like you got to get on board, and if you're not on board or in the right mindset or giving yourself to the movie, you're probably not going to attach to it. And because like if you miss something, holy hell, it throws the whole thing off. Yeah, I
think that's what happened is like I missed something somewhere, and I was then I'm like, what? At some point, I was literally just like, what's going on? Like, I literally don't know what's going on. There's so many characters, I can't keep up with them. And so then I had like, as I was watching the movie, I was reading like the synopsis and like who's who, and I think I just fell so far behind. I'm just like, F it. I'm so behind here. I can't even get caught up on like there's so many scientists, there's so many characters. Like
because I think it took me 2 or 3 times to realize who the mole was.
Who is the mole? It's like mole?
It's like a split second, Sarah. Guy. It's a split second. It's a German guy, and here's how it is. So I think they say that we need more scientists, and there's a scene where it's at the checkpoint.
Yeah, and
they lead the guy in, and he says, "Here's a British officer," but he's not British. He's like, "How long have you been British?" Ever since the Americans told me to, and he's German.
Right.
So that guy became the mole, but he's only in like like one scene, that introduction, and then he's like in the background of scenes, and then he sort of disappears in the movie. So that's why it's like another one of those movies like you got to see it once or twice
Was
to
that
see
like?
all the characters.
Do you think that was an intentional part of the storytelling because you didn't like they didn't know who the mole was, so like they didn't want the audience to know, or like?
Well, they do, like I said earlier, where they show the split second of who it is.
Yeah.
I think they do that. They're like, it was him, and they show him, and you're like, who's that guy? But you have to. It's one of those
You
things
have to
where
remember.
you have to remember or see it more than one time, because with Nolan movies. Oh God. Okay, so there's. Let me mention this because it kind of goes into this, but James Cameron, that crazy madman, he had this quote where, because like they were talking about bathroom breaks. He's like, your movie's 3 hours long. What about people who need to use the bathroom? And he said, I know my movie's going to be good. You can go to the bathroom whenever you want because I know you're going to see this multiple times. And I feel like that is definitely a rule with Oppenheimer. It's like you got to see it once or you have to see it at least twice or three times in order to get everything, because there's so many things in there. And especially if you're watching at home, there's so many distractions. But if you're in a theater, it's probably easier to keep track of it. But like this is just like it's always going. It's always moving. There's so many elements, moving parts to the movie. It's great. But I liked it, but it's definitely, like, I can totally see your point because that happened to me the first time, where I was distracted by the music. I was just not in the best headspace, and things had gone wrong, totally wrong in that first 5 minutes for me. But like, like I said, Sarah, like in that first 5 minutes, it like sets up the whole movie.
Yep.
Because he's sitting there in his room, he sees the droplets of water, and that gets represented later in the movie. Because as he's looking at it, he's seeing the droplets as like the bombs dropping. And that comes in later, and then like even when you can hear the music plays, because the music is also a character that's taking you on this journey as well. So that's why, like, can you hear the music where he finally listens to the music, and that it's almost like he's conducting a little bit like Maestro, but like he's conducting the movie with what he's doing, and he's trying to orchestra, like, okay, we're going to move you here, we're going to move you here, we're going to try to make the best team possible to make this project work. But yeah, I love this movie. I love this movie. I know you had a hard time, and like give us some time to watch it again. But like,
I'll give it a second shot. I will. But yeah, I think my first interpretation was like, okay, it deserves a couple Oscars, but all of them, all the Oscars.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of Oscars, I wrote down our results.
Oh yes, let's hear it. I'm curious about that.
Okay, so we both said Paul Giamatti would win an actor. He didn't. It was Cillian Murphy. I was disappointed.
Me too.
I wanted Paul to win. I wanted to be an upset. For Best Supporting Actor, you said Mark Ruffalo, and I said Robert Downey Jr., and Robert Downey Jr. won. For Actress, we both said Emma Stone.
Yeah. So happy. On a side note, I saw a really funny video today of Emma Stone, like in the back, like must be like the off stage part of the Oscars, and she's like talking to somebody and looks at the screen and realizes Poor Things is up for nomination, and she's in her little tight dress and she's like sprinting over to the door to make it for the
she missed it. She's like, oh my god, I want to be on stage, but she couldn't be on stage because like the little tight dress and how crowded it was back there, so she could only watch it on the TV.
Yeah,
that was adorable. But I was going to say, I've been a fan of Emma Stone since day one.
She's the best. I love her.
I met her when I was in LA before she was famous.
Really? Wait, no, tell me that story. I've not heard that story.
Oh my god, I feel like I already told this story so many times. I don't know how you don't know this. So okay, so it's like 2009, probably 2009 or 10. I forget one of the years, but it's one of those eras. And this movie came out, Paperman, and she was doing a Q&A with Lisa Kudrow. And at this point, she had really only done Superbad. And I loved her in Superbad. I thought she was hilarious as Jules. So I tried to convince all my friends, come on, let's go see Jules from Superbad. She's Emma Stone. And they're like, who's she? I don't remember Jules. I remember Jonah Hill and Michael Cera, but I don't remember Jules. So I was like, forget you guys. So I went to see this Q&A, Lisa Kudrow, Emma Stone, and I remember just feeling like, oh my god, I'm meeting Emma Stone. And I took us 2 selfies. One was like too bright because she wasn't expecting the brightness. So she's like, let's do that again. And we both smiled in the second one. But like a few months later, Easy A came out, and then Zombieland, and then she became like the biggest star ever in the world. So I'm proud to say that I was like a day one fan.
You knew Emma Stone before she was Emma Stone. Like you knew her first. Was she a redhead yet?
She was a redhead there.
She was a redhead in Superbad, yeah.
In real life, she's actually a blonde. Like, she's really blonde.
Yeah.
So when I saw her there, she was a redhead. But that was so cool to seeing her. It was Shane Ford. He just comment just popped up. I love the contrast of both your backgrounds.
I just moved into a new place and there's no personality yet.
It'll be there. It'll be there. It'll be all floral. It'll have like background. It'll be fun. I can't wait. But yeah, I was like a day one fan. So seeing her win 2 times,
it does look good. That's amazing. Shane said that your background looks sick, and I agree. It looks great.
And then for supporting actress, we both said Divine Joy Randolph.
Yep.
For Holdovers, and oh my god, she was so good. She won supporting actress.
I thought so. I was like, yeah, we got the girls right.
Yeah, we got the girls right. For animated feature, you said Elemental and Boy and the Heron, and I got the Boy and the Heron because I knew they're going to give it to that dude. I knew it.
Did you watch it?
Oh no. I just knew that the animator is like famous and everyone loves his movies, so I'm like, he's gonna win. It's almost like the Christopher Nolan, like he's gonna win. We like for exactly what I'm saying. Director, we both said Nolan, and he got that, of course. And then Best Picture, my crazy ass said Barbie, and you said Poor Things.
But I want to say I said Poor Things, but I changed it because my original choice was Oppenheimer, and I was trying to be optimistic.
I know, I'm like, because you're like, I'm gonna say Oppenheimer, but I want to say Poor Thing. I'm like, go ahead, say Poor Things. Go ahead.
And
so I'll give you that, but it wasn't a competition. But I'm just saying that's what our picks were, and that's what happened. Let's see, we got some more comments here. We have Frank looks like he's recording from a bar in a Rob Zombie movie. Oh yeah, but mine needs to be like more grainy. Like there needs to be tons of film grain, and there needs to be a naked woman swearing in the background. And then let's see, we have, and Sarah looks like she's recording from a lab in a 70s science fiction movie. Yes, totally.
It's the beautiful like fluorescent LED lights in my new apartment.
I even like your fluorescent light. It's coming in through the camera. It looks like an alien movie. Like you're talking through like the screen. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay. So your pick was Oppenheimer and mine was Maestro. So
which you did not pick until like 2 weeks ago. You were like debating. I could feel it.
I was debating because even when I said it, I was like, because so prior to my picking it, like the thought of Maestro was that it was an Oscar bait movie. Nobody liked Bradley Cooper. Everyone's making fun of him, and like they said it was overrated or whatever. And I was like, oh, do I pick that movie or do I pick something like that we could both talk about, like The Holdovers, easily? So I was really trying to think about it, and then I went to the movie theater. That's the reason why I finally picked it. So at the movie theater, my local Regal was showing all the Oscar-nominated movies, and my mom was like, I want to see them too. So we circled the ones we wanted to see. So we saw Maestro, Holdovers, American Fiction. Those are the ones we wanted to see. And I think we watched in that order. We watched Maestro first, Holdovers, and then American Fiction. Of course, me and you, we both love The Holdovers. I want to briefly mention American Fiction because as I was watching it, I don't think anyone's have said that. I haven't read anything about this, but dude, that movie is like a Neil Simon movie. So I grew up watching this movie called California Suite, and there's like a certain tone to it of the characters where it doesn't feel real, but you're watching their reality. You know what I mean? It's like a heightened reality, and they all have sort of comical lives, and there's a lot of drama. Like just because like the movie's about multiple characters, and you watch all of them during this one weekend, and American Fiction totally reminded me of like a Neil Simon movie. It was insane because like I'm watching the movie, I'm like, what was this? I'm like, oh my god, it's Neil Simon, because the music feels like very like jazzy, sort of like floaty. I don't know how to describe it, but like floaty, and the characters are doing like they're dealing with drama. I know like people make fun of like the finger of God coming in Holdovers, where it's like, oh yeah, of course all the characters leave it now, so all the characters have to learn, but like the finger of God is messing with the character in American Fiction, and I kind of feel like that's what happens in like Neil Simon movies, where it's like, that wouldn't really happen, but in the Neil Simon movie, of course it happens. Like in the California Suite, like the car breaks down, and then there's leaking in the room, and then they hurt their ankle and they break the glass. And, it's just like odd cap stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, it just felt like a Neil Simon movie. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But, Sarah, what we're here to talk about, and my pick, is Maestro.
Which was not an Italian movie, which I got completely wrong from the previews, which I was a little embarrassed about.
Not an Italian movie at all.
Not
And
at all.
I was hesitant to picking too, because I'm like, Sarah's not going to like this. Because after I watched it, I was like, there's no storyline here. And it's one of the reasons why I loved it. So I'll briefly talk about it. I'll try to be as brief as possible, because I know I can get long-winded. But I really did not want to pick this beforehand, because I didn't know what I was expecting. But then after I saw the movie, I was overwhelmed by it. So just a brief synopsis, and I think I'll talk about my thoughts later, but I'll just do a brief synopsis. The movie is about Leonard Bernstein, and it's, to be brief, it's not a typical biopic. It is like cherry-picked moments from a marriage and a friendship, and you get to see that. Okay, I'm going to get a little emotional just briefly talking about it. Oh my god. But you see it through the eyes of this marriage, of his life, and it's not typical at all of a biopic. So I'll leave it at that and talk about my thoughts later. But Sarah, what did you think of Maestro?
I was pleasantly surprised. So I will say I have like 40 minutes left, because on Friday night I was like so tired, and this is just a side note for anybody who's thinking of watching the new Millie Bobby Brown movie, Damsel, don't watch it. It's a waste of your life. Don't do it unless you're like really into horror and like Renaissance-y kind of like fantasy movies. Don't watch it. So I'll just leave it there. I did that on Friday night instead of starting Maestro, like I should have. So with that, I started Maestro last night. I was watching up until this. I did. That was another movie. It was like, it was interesting because like the way they played with time, like both, that's the connection between both movies, is like time is warped, right, in both movies. So I'm watching it and I'm just like, I think maybe like 20 minutes, I'm like, what is this movie about? Like, what is this about? I'm not sure. So I looked it up and I read the story of Leonard Bernstein, and I'm like, okay, so it's like about his marriage. And then I'm like, but is he gay? I'm so confused in the first part of the movie.
Yeah.
So I felt more connected to the movie after I read his story. Like after I'm like, okay, this is what's going on here. Like I see the connection.
Yeah.
But I will say, like the music, like I like the way you say that he kind of conducts you through the movie, through the music. And I always watch movies with subtitles because I'm approaching 30 and I can't hear unless I'm reading.
Same here. Oh my god, you need subtitles.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because like when you're watching with subtitles, it tells you like what song is playing, and a lot of the music that's being played in the movie is actual music that was like composed or conducted by Leonard Bernstein. So I really enjoyed that, and the part that I just ended with was that performance right before his wife got her cancer diagnosis.
Okay,
and
like,
that was kind of like the climax performance. Like it was so. I was thinking about fast forwarding it because I'm like, okay, this is going on, and I need to like see some more of this movie, but I couldn't because it was so captivating, the music, and you kind of get like. I thought Bradley Cooper was like the perfect pick for this part because, you know, Bradley Cooper, I just feel like Bradley Cooper in Limitless is like who Bradley Cooper is in real life, right? Like he's like, he has bipolar. He's kind of like this gregarious, bigger than life kind of person.
Yes, he's totally got issues, yes.
Yes. And like Leonard Bernstein, like embodied, like he seems like just this like fly by the seat of your pants. Like it's like, I was then researching, like, you know, what was his sexuality? Like because it's interesting. If you don't know the story, it's kind of hard to follow in the movie what's going on. You're like, is he gay? Isn't he? Why did he marry this woman? Was it because of the times, or does he actually love her? Because I genuinely believe, and even like at the beginning, like the first thing he says is, I miss her, right? Like he does genuinely love this woman, and
oh God, he does. Oh.
He loves her, and it's just like it's just so interesting. Like he loves her, but can't be like who he needs her to be, or like
I can't wait to talk about, but go finish your thoughts.
So anyways, it's interesting because it goes so fast. Like you're not used to that, especially with like watching a movie, you're like, wait, what's going on? And you miss so many details because it's only like it's kind of like just dropping in, like you said, to different points in time, and it's only
Yeah.
told through the lens of like this relationship.
Yes. Yes.
And so then if you don't know the story, if like you haven't like me paused it and like researched what's going on, like it can be kind of hard to follow. But I think if you have an idea of what's going on and kind of like the line it follows, it becomes a lot more interesting. Like I think it's kind of cool to see a story from the lens of a marriage, right? And it's the same thing you're talking about with Oppenheimer. Like your memory, who has the memories, and when you have the memories changes your perception of them, right? So like him, when he's like in his like coke bender, is going to remember their relationship differently than after she's passed away and he's like reflecting on his life, right? So I found it really enjoyable, and I'm going to finish it tonight. I'm really excited to see how it all culminates at the end, but good pick.
Yeah. So funny enough, you haven't seen the ending. I haven't seen the beginning of this movie. So the only time we could see the movie was at like a certain time. So when we went there, I assume we missed the first 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not sure. But
it's funny. We can fill each other in.
I know. But when I came to see the movie, like one of the first scenes I saw was when that like ABC specials in his living room, and they were talking about separate lives because they're talking about all his big accomplishments and marriage and all that. But he says, yeah, but like we have these moments, we have private moments as well. And he's like talking about that. I'm like, okay, why is this scene here? And as the movie played out, I was like, oh my God. Like the movie got me so emotionally. I don't know why. I think it's just about how, like, because I'm always about like moments, like like living the moment, doing things that you want to do, and at least trying to connect with the people that you love in your life. And this movie is all through the lens of this marriage, and it's all about like the sacrifices they're making, because she's sacrificing having a full relationship that she wants because she loves this man. And the problem with this man is that he says it throughout the whole movie, because it's very, this movie's like very blunt when he says, like, when it does it, it means it. Like, he loves too much. Like, he loves life, he loves men, he loves women, he loves everybody, and this particular woman makes him happy. And it's sad because he can't really do that for her, because she's sort of like, she can't get the love that she wants from him. And she tries to leave, and he's desperately wanting to get her back, even though he's like living this lifestyle. And he finally gets her back towards the end. And then the other thing that happens in the movie, where he can't live the life he wants to live. He has to be subtle for the times they are, and to make the relationship work with his friend, his wife, because that's a friendship. That's oh my God, that's a friendship. I love that in this movie. It was so good. And like it really, as I was watching this movie, I was like, this movie is so good, but I understand why people are trying to write it off. Like, oh, it's Oscar bait. Oh, it's this. No, they're just saying it wrong. It's not Oscar bait. It's just a passion project for Bradley Cooper, for that crazy man. He worked on this movie for 6 years, and it comes through on the screen. And I feel like it's more of an actor's movie than a movie, because there's so many scenes where it's long takes. The infamous Snoopy scene. So like what do you call it? They're at the Thanksgiving and they're having this argument, and it's filmed in a way where it's just one angle. And I love that, because that's like Bradley Cooper. Like, he's working his shit out, because damn well his parents argued. And like when you watch an argument, there's no other cameras, there's no close-ups. You're just watching the argument as it goes. And not only that, but life is moving on as you're arguing about something, like the Snoopy moving on. It's funny, but that's like a moment that you're missing from your family, from your life, that's going by. And it's just like, oh my God, this movie. There's so many like underlying things about love and friendship. It's ridiculous. And how, like, when hang on, let me finish this one thought. And the performance, like, that's the one place where he can be himself, is when he's conducting the audience. And they had that argument where she left him, and you think that she's out of his life, and he's performing, he's giving it his all. It's that one shot,
Mhm.
and then it ends on her being there, seeing him doing like what he does best, and him being himself. And it's such a good movie. I'm crying again. Oh my god! But like, damn, this movie really sideswiped me. I was not expecting this because everyone made fun of it. Everyone, of course, like I know Bradley Cooper's crazy. I've seen this man talk. He's got he needs to go to therapy. He needs to stay in therapy because like there's a whole interview where he's talking to Emma Stone and like he's like has his eyes closed and he's talking. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He says, "I just feel comfortable when I'm talking with my eyes closed." She says, "Can you stop?" But like this man clearly has like emotional issues. He's gone through so much shit in his life, and it comes off on screen because he connected to this character, Leonard Bernstein, and the whole movie. It's not a typical. I'm sorry, I said I was going to finish.
No, I love it.
But like I said earlier, it's just moments in life, and I totally get it. Like it's like this is an awesome way to do a biopic where it's not like stupid like Bohemian Rhapsody where it's like all the hits. Like you could watch all the clips on YouTube of what they're going through, or you could they're doing it a different way where it's not like, oh yeah, these are the huge bullet points of his life. No, it's like these are the little moments, because that's what the whole interview, that whole scene, that interview scene's like, it's the little moments in life, and the private moments, and like you see all these private moments that are like huge moments in their life and in their marriage. All right, you could talk before I start going on and on.
Oh my god, I love so much. One, Snoopy scene, love that, and the other one that I really enjoyed was it's not like a huge scene, so I don't know if most will remember it, but when they're at the pool and like the picture, you're so far you can't even see them, you can just hear them, right? Like you're behind, like you're so far away and the fence is there and you can't really, they're talking to each other, and
they're in different boxes and they're trying to communicate oh god, it's so
yeah good. And it's like they're talking, I don't even remember what it's about, to be honest. I just remember like he asks something and she says this and he gets up and she wants to keep talking and he's willing to, but he's got to go work on his music, and it's just so fascinating because as somebody who's been like, I'm in a relationship, like I'm in a serious relationship, I'm gonna marry this man, like that's so real. Like, there's even in the most perfect relationships, like there's moments when you're just kind of like not quite, you have to like work to get back in the same place.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, oh, I got up, but if you want to keep talking, it's fine. It really is. And I like how you share the interpretation of like Bradley Cooper's working his shit out, because like we're all working our shit out watching that movie.
He's working his shit out. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Like I like and as somebody who's just genuinely fascinated by humans and like human behavior and the psychology, like to get a glimpse into like the private moments of like somebody famous's life, right? That you don't get to see. That's really cool.
Yeah, like, oh god, there's some moments too. I don't know if you got to it. I think you're getting to this, but there's like a scene where Carey Mulligan is sitting there and her friends come to visit her while she's sick, and she just can't deal with it. And like you're just like watching it, because it's just I don't think they cut. I think it's just like one long take of her just sitting there, and you can just see her like, it's like she doesn't want visitors. She doesn't want to have them sick, and she doesn't want to hear anyone's happiness. It's like she just wants to be left alone with her family. And oh my gosh, like later in the movie, like when she's like sick and he's like holding her and he's trying to like, and it feels like he's trying to like love her, give her all his love he possibly can, to make her feel better. And then at the end, God, when she's dead and she's gone and they leave from the family house, the kids don't sit in the front seat. They all squeeze in the back seat and leave that front seat open like it's representing her. Like that's where she would sit. Like, we're not going to sit there. It's like, oh my God. But like this movie has so many little, like it focuses on those little moments. And maybe it doesn't have like a nice narrative, but like that's sort of
neither does life. Yeah, life doesn't have a nice narrative.
There's not a nice narrative to life. And like when you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about those moments, like either missed opportunities or those happy moments or those sad moments. One of the scenes that really spoke to me is his character. he likes to be open. He likes to talk about himself. He likes to be himself. And when his wife was like, "Don't you dare tell her the truth about your secret fling or those men. Just lie to her." And he's lying to her, and like she knows he's lying, and he doesn't want to lie because I think he knows that she understands, like, yeah, but she's just being, she's just saying like, "Yep, so those are just rumors. So those are just rumors." And you could just see in his face where he doesn't want to lie to his daughter.
You can see it too, like he almost doesn't, but then it's like,
yeah,
it's like the
he
friendship
almost wants to tell her the truth. Yeah,
and the friendship and the love he has with what's her name? I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I just
yeah, Carrie, whatever.
Yeah, Carrie.
Like the love he has for her, it like, I think like it's a little moment like that where giving up like something that you really enjoy or like that you really want to share with somebody because you love somebody else so much and like you want to respect them and honor them. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, this one was like really, like I think I understand why people want to like bash it, but like to me it's a passion project. It's good, even though it's like very blunt. Like I feel like there's no like hidden messages. Like when you see it, it's telling you. Like when you talked about that scene, when he framed it that way. He wants to show you visually and through the scene that they're on different squares. Yep. They're not in the same, even though they're in the same scene talking to each other. They're in different platforms. They're in different spaces, different mindsets. Even though they're trying to connect in that the garden area, the backyard.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a great movie. I like it, and it bothers me so much that I can't own it on physical copy. It's only on stupid Netflix, which I finally canceled. I finally canceled it. But I did find someone on Etsy who does like custom movies, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get a Blu-ray copy of Maestro.
All right.
But yes. I like this movie. It was my it was the first watch basically. At some point I'm sure I'll watch the first part of the movie, but what I've seen, like I feel like that was enough, and that was like most of it too. I think that was, I only missed like 20-30 minutes, but like from what I've seen, that
the first like
movie,
you basically just missed like setting up the story. Like the first scene is like him in bed with a man, and then it like very quickly translates into him being in bed with a man, or like he's giving this guy a foot massage.
Oh jeez.
And then like it was so interesting. He's giving a foot massage. He says, "I love you." It's the clarinet player, and he leaves. And then like the next scene, he's like falling in love with this woman, and that's when I'm like, wait, what's going? Like I thought this was going to be a story about like a closeted gay man during the world, whatever era this is, right? Like, and then it's like, wait, is he actually falling in love with her, or like is this a cover for his? And it's like, no, he
really loved her.
He really loved. It's kind of, he's like this I think that's how he was described, like as an omnisexual human, or like what is a pansexual or whatever. Just like falls in love with everything, with life, with music, with. Also, he died in I think I read 1990 or something at like 74, and for as many cigarettes as that man smoked, that's very impressive. Like that, and like
there's so much cigarettes in this movie. Oh my god.
The other thing that I don't know, it must have been on purpose, but you can kind of notice that throughout the movie he sounds more and more like a smoker. Like,
yes, that's what he did. Oh my god, Bradley Cooper's insane. He trained his voice to do that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, it sounds like this man's been like every year progression, he sounds more and more like this guy is like smoked like a chimney. And I thought that was so cool. Like, what a amazing minute detail that Bradley Cooper did, and like most people probably won't even notice, right?
No one would do that. No one would try that hard, but he did, because he said, as he got older, he like dropped an octave and all the cigarettes, so I had to change my voice, and I would call all my friends in the voice, and they'd be like, "Bradley, what are you doing?" And then throughout the movie, when he was directing off camera, he would stay in that voice. I'm like, oh my god, this man is a crazy man. But like, it works to me. It works. I'm a fan for life now. I'm like, I'll never doubt him again. I'll never listen to the haters.
I've actually always enjoyed Bradley Cooper. Like, I feel like all of his movies I really like. So
I was trying to go with the crowd. I was like, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. This is Oscar bait because it looked like an Oscar bait movie. And then when you see it, it's like, oh no, this is just a passion project from the crazy man. I love
Probably.
it. But yeah, like what do you call it? He also did A Star Is Born, which is really great. I like A Star Is Born.
Yep.
Again, I think that's a movie where he was working shit out. Holy
So
crap.
good.
And then as him as an actor, I do like what's the one I saw him in? Anyway, he's a great actor as well.
Limitless. I love Limit. I've seen that a million times. Like Ari, it's Ari's favorite movie. We've watched it so many
Mm.
times. It's really good.
I just remembered one of my favorite performances, even though it's sort of a cameo at best. But him as John Peters in Licorice Pizza. Oh my god,
I haven't seen that.
he plays a man full of rage in that movie, and I love it.
He
Because again,
that feels on brand. I feel like there's
yes,
some rage in there.
I'm reining it in. Yeah, like I love him when he's like a rage man. I also love him when he's like doing like subtle performances. Like there was one I think he did in the movie Joy. In the movie Joy, he feels like he's conducting the sellers. Did you ever see that one with Jennifer
Of
Lawrence?
course.
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence
but
is my girl.
but in that movie, he's like conducting the sellers and he's
Yeah.
like pointing at the numbers and he has like this little sing-songy voice, like we're gonna do great, we're gonna do fine, we're gonna be good.
There was before Jennifer Lawrence went and had her happily ever after and got married to the art dealer and had her baby and is super happy. Like I was really, really pining for her and Bradley Cooper to get together.
Oh
Silver
my
Lining
gosh.
Playbook. That was a good one too.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh, that's another one where he's just Rage Man. Oh my God,
Yep.
that's right.
Yep.
I used him for one of my mashups. I used him for Cherry Bomb because he's like one of those actors I do like. So I used him for that movie. So that was
Uh-huh.
good. I used clips from Limitless and Joy. So that's why those are two in my head. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like him as an actor, and now I'm a super fan. After seeing Maestro, I'm like, I'm there. I'm not going to listen to anybody else. I'm there. I believe in him, and hearing him talk about the movie as well is just fascinating. I was like, holy shit! Like, because like he was talking about like all the things. I'm like, yep, I knew that. I knew that. I understood that. Because when I hear my friends review this movie, they're like, why this story? Why this biopic? And they give it like 3 stars. And it's like, it doesn't follow. I'm like, no, it's like moments of a marriage. Like you're just watching all these scenes, like all these important scenes. Like another one that just popped in my head because it's just one take, and it's. I like that he does that. He does like a lot of one takes. There's no. It doesn't feel like theatrical. Hang on, how do I word this? It doesn't feel like a movie, but it feels like a theatrical, like a
Yes.
performance,
Yeah.
like you're watching a stage. Like when she gets her diagnosis for cancer.
That's the part I just ended on.
Yep, and he's like sitting there with her on the table,
Yep.
and then oh my god, when they get out the car to go sit in the park, oh, I don't know if you've seen that part yet, but yeah,
I got
like instead of like taking the car ride, like how about we go for a walk? How about we just enjoy the day after her diagnosis, and they go sit in the park? I was like, oh god, that's how life should be. Because that just like reminded me, like after I got sick a few years ago, we would just go to the lake just to watch the sunset or just watch the lake, and it's just like that's what you got to do. You just got to enjoy life while you're here, and it's like Anyway, I love Maestro. Holy hell, I love it. It's so good.
My
Sideswiped.
side story, kind of on the same vein, like my mentor passed away last year. I was very
Mhm.
close to him, and it's interesting because we became friends when like he was dying. Like
Mhm.
he had end stage kidney disease, and knew he was giving away everything in his house. And I was just like, hey, like I've cleaned out a bunch of houses. Let me come help you. And we developed this friendship over
Mhm.
years of that, of giving away things and getting together. And that's something that like was so cool about him dying is I said to him, I'm like, you may be dying, but you're still living, and I'm not gonna let you forget it. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
keep living. And we got to do that. We like took every weekend I'd go visit, and we would take like a 7 to 8 hour road trip all around DC, Maryland, Virginia. We'd go like to West Virginia. And sometimes we weren't going anywhere. We would just drive
Yeah.
places, like get coffee,
Mhm.
But it is like you really hit the nail on the head. Like that is what makes life meaningful. Like he died in last January, and I have all those memories of him
Mhm.
and all those places with him that I get to
Mhm.
now still go back to and like feel his energy. And it wasn't anything, may not have been like a peak experience, like a big trip or a wedding, but it's like this culmination of little experiences that are way more meaningful.
Mhm. For
So
sure.
it's just, I also agree that this movie really does shine a light on what's important and like what is meaningful in life.
I agree. I agree. So,
Also, Shane, I like his comment.
oh yeah, let me pull that up. I wasn't gonna pull it up because he was trash talking Maestro, but I'll pull it up.
No, he's
He
like,
said
hold
poor
on.
things. Poor
Yeah,
things switch from black and white to color is better than Maestro switching black and white
yeah.
to color.
It was a little more like it felt like I get it. Like TV's progressing, things aren't in black and white anymore. But like poor things, like it seems a
It's
little
just
more.
Bradley Cooper's thing.
I know. It's what's going on in his head.
Yeah, he's like, I have this vision. Like, nobody questioned. I think that's why he had to go with Netflix, so no one would question his vision. I think that's where everyone goes to not get questioned, because he's like, I'm picturing it, and like a square, and then this, and then black and white, and then when we change aspect ratios, it's like the different time period, and like everyone else would say no. Netflix is like, do whatever. Oh my gosh! So that's how I know this is a passion project, because I saw that like it kept changing aspect ratios. Because I think at a certain point, I'm like, oh, when did it become widescreen? I
I was
didn't
like,
even notice.
wait, is this shot in like full screen? Like, what's going on? And then I noticed the same thing. I'm like, it's getting bigger. It's getting smaller.
It's getting bigger. It's getting smaller. It's black and white. It's color.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, like everything it's very blunt in this movie, but I don't care because it's awesome. I love it. So with that being said, Sarah, what should be next month's episode?
So I am traveling like 3 weeks next month. I'm going to Scotland for 10 days to meet our niece, our newly born niece. Ari's sister had a baby. We're very excited. And then my stepbrother is getting married in Costa Rica at the end of the month. So that's super exciting. So I'm thinking maybe we aim for like the beginning of May, and I just plan to watch our movies like on my long flights.
Yes. Okay, that would work. So May. Okay, we'll do one for May. That's
Great.
Good. That works. So we'll do a break month. That'll probably be the Phil Dragish episode. I did a commentary track with Phil Dragish. We did Small Soldier, so that's a good episode. That'll be the filler week. Okay, that's good.
Love it.
It all works out.
Love it.
Awesome.
Our first break in 2 seasons.
I know. Well, actually, our second break, because I had that health scare.
So. Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we had that one.
We were supposed to do Tremors and Soul. That was the one.
Yeah, Tremors.
Yes. You still don't like Tremors? That cracks me up. Oh my gosh, I love Tremors. It's one of those perfect movies.
No.
Okay, so for May, what should we do for May?
Okay, I had some. I'm just gonna like spitball ideas here. Okay, we got. Okay, we talked about previously. It's season 2. We could do like best sequels, right? And I actually did have a moment. I was wanting to take a nap yesterday, so I always just put on old movies, and I put on Meet the Fockers, which I think is actually like better than the original Meet the Parents. Anyways,
yes.
So there's always like sequels. And then May, I don't know. I mean, then I was like, okay, there could be like travel themed because traveling a lot. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
The other one I had was movies that never got sequels that we should.
Oh, yep, that's sequels. A good one too.
That was one, and then another one. See, it's May. What's in May? Memorial Day.
Summer. I guess the beginning of summer.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's do one of the sequel episodes. What do you want to do? You want to do best sequels or movies that deserve sequels?
What do you have in mind for movies that deserve sequels?
Oh, just for let's see. First of all, probably Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. That's a good one that deserves a sequel. And then I think I already talked about it. I don't want to talk about it again. But one of mine that's always up there is like I wish they did a sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. But I don't want you to watch that movie. That movie's not for Sarah's eyes. Like, you could watch The Nice Guys. You can handle that, but there's no way you could handle Jessica Biel running from a chainsaw man and, like, a woman, like, shooting her brains out in the back seat, and then her boyfriend's mask or face is being worn by Leatherface. You can't handle that. Arlie Ermey and the Texas Chainsaw is too crazy.
Too much. That's where I draw the line. The line has been drawn.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that could be a stormy season. Twister versus New Twister. Hang on, let me pull that up, Jamie.
That could be interesting. I actually remember as a kid. I don't remember this, but I've been told by my family I was obsessed with the movie Twister.
When does Twisters come out? I'm looking it up right now. July 19th. Ooh, we gotta save it for July.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good one for July. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one for July. Because maybe that's what we could do for July. Twister versus Twisters. Oh my
Great, it's
God.
done. We have one for July.
We have one for July.
But nothing for May.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Speaking of twisters, it has Glenn Powell. Have you seen Anyone But You yet?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen that yet.
What's that one?
Ooh. That one I feel like deserves a sequel, aka like because I like their.
I
so
saw
much.
I've been meaning to watch it because it's a rom-com and we all know.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I want a sequel to that, but I don't want a sequel. You know, I want it to be like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, how they do like different movies.
Oh yeah.
But it's the same couple, but yeah. Because I want to see Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney in different movies, but I don't want them in the same characters. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yes.
Even though I like that movie.
I'm racking my brain because I know there's several movies I've watched that I've been devastated to find out that there's not a sequel to. And now I'm like, what are those? And I'll like avidly research. I'm like, when is the sequel coming out? Sequel, like discussions. And there was one movie I got so deep on. Was it a movie or was it a book? Maybe it was a book. Oh, I think it was a book. Damn.
What was it?
It was The Witch. It was a book. It was, and I kind of hope they make a movie out of it, but it's called The Witching. And it's like kind of like Pilgrim patriarchy.
Oh,
fascinating. The book is really good. If anybody's into reading here, I know this is a movie show, but I really wanted the sequel to that book. And she was gonna write it, and it was about a plague, and then the COVID hit, and she's like, "It's too dark to write about a plague during a plague." And I'm like, "God damn it, go deep! Like, get it out,
dig deep."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So the other one, speaking of sequels, I originally wanted a sequel to this, but now it's been too long. I'm like, just reboot the damn thing because it's been like 13, 15 years. But it was Dread. I really liked the movie Dread with Carl Urban. That was really good. It flopped. I was one of the 3 people who saw it in the theater because it made like $12 in the theater. And then everyone else saw it on home video. I'm like, you jerks. You let it flop.
This is your fault.
And it's so sad, too, because I saw it with a free Regal ticket, and I'm like, I like this movie so much, I want to invite my mom to go see it, so let's go see it next week. But it bombed so bad, they pulled it from the theater. It only lasted the theater for 1 week. And I wish it had a sequel, but now we're almost like, oh my God, I think we're almost like at 20 years since it came out?
Yeah,
maybe
probably
10,
not.
15
When did
years?
it come out? I just looked it up. We
got 2012, right? Or is it 2013?
2009.
What? No way, Dread came out in 2009. It came out 2012. Okay. I was going to say, there's no way. I was still in high school in 2009. There's no way it came out in 2000. But yeah, okay, so how about, so that's the next episode. May, sequels.
Okay. Sequels. Okay, and we could keep it open. It could be like movies that should have got a sequel or like.
Yes, we'll keep it open. We have a whole month to decide. And you're flying back and forth too many places, so you could decide then, like, how about we.
Yeah, like, what do I feel like watching today? What am I going to make Frank subject to?
Oh my gosh. Road Warriors, Mad Max, Furious.
When is Inside Out 2 coming out?
Oh, you're going to make me watch Inside 2? Oh my God.
Inside coming out in 2. June, damn it.
Oh, thank Christ.
I'm still putting it in, don't you worry.
You're gonna work that in with Elemental. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, maybe I'll just choose Elemental. Like, I want a sequel. I want to see what happens next.
How do you spell Furiosa? Oh my God. Do I force you to watch Furiosa? Where is she?
I tried watching that. It's so hard.
My name's Furiosa. Let's see. That is in May. Nope, you're locked out. I don't know if I'll make you watch those movies because those are all different.
I saw the preview for that movie when I went to see Poor Things, and I looked at Ari. I'm like, we're not seeing that. No. I'm like, I can get on with the sci-fi. I just can't get on with the cars.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So
Mad
Max.
Dune 2 is out right now. But I haven't
seen
Dune 2. I want to like it because I love sci-fi, and we've literally tried to watch the first Dune 3 times, all of which I've fallen asleep. But I'm still committed because it's the only movie in theaters that I want to see right now. We just moved walking distance to my favorite theater. They serve food at your seat, and it's the only movie I want to see.
I haven't seen Dune 1. I'm not interested in Dune 2. I'm not interested. And I sort of take pride for not having seen a Timothée Chalamet movie yet. The only one I've seen of Timothée Chalamet is Interstellar, but in that movie, he's in the background out of focus for all his scenes.
Oh, he's interesting. I feel like what other movies has he been in?
He's been in Call Me by Your Name, Bones and All, Willy Wonka, Dune.
Willy Wonka. That's what I saw him in. New Godzilla versus New Godzilla.
Yeah, maybe. That's another one where like I can't force Sarah to watch Godzilla. Maybe the OG Godzilla, but I can't make you watch 98 Godzilla, even though I love 98. Okay, so sequels. We're leaving it open for May. That's
Maybe
great.
I'm gonna I could make you watch the second Hunger Games, and then by the third season it'll take us 4 years, but we get through the whole season.
The whole series of Hunger Games. Oh
Season
my gosh.
3,
But
movie.
this time I'm not that upset about it. It'd be like, okay, I can watch it. I can handle that.
Ooh,
Because the first one was like pulling teeth, but this one is like, I know what's going on now, or somewhat.
That's a strong contender.
Yeah, because in the first movie they had terror dogs from Ghostbusters, and then the guy ate the berries in the office because they locked him in there.
Yep.
So like I know what's going on, and then the pita bread, he covered himself in cake batter to hide in the rock. I know this movie. Yes.
It's even more of that, even more of it, and then you get introduced to Finnick Odair, who is like the best.
Oh God, who's Finnick Odair?
Finnick Odair. You won't know until you watch the second
No,
movie.
I meant like the actor. Who's?
Oh, what's his name? The one from the one where he's paralyzed and chooses to kill himself or not kill himself. He chooses doctor assisted death. What's his name? It's the love story. Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Oh, no, it can't be that guy. Is it freaking Baby Driver?
Sam Claflin.
Hunger Games 2. What's Hunger Games 2 called? Catching Fire?
He was the one in Me Before You.
Me Before You? Are you saying words? Are you saying words right now? I don't know
this is like Frank talks about like horror, like 90s, 80s, 70s horror movies to Sarah talking about rom-coms.
I know you're like, so what was his name again? So I got to click on him. What's his name?
Sam Claflin.
Sam Claflin.
He's Claflin. He's a Australian actor, Aussie.
Awesome.
And he's in this good movie called Me Before You, and it's about like this guy who's paralyzed, and he wants to opt for doctor-assisted death, but falls in love with his caretaker, and then oh God, it's so sad. It's just like
he was in Charlie's Angels. I did see that, but I don't remember any of the guys. And then he was in Last Night in Soho. I don't remember that.
Enola Holmes. He's Sherlock in Enola Holmes. You probably didn't see that on Netflix.
I don't watch Netflix. The only movie I want to watch on Netflix is The Holiday.
It's so good.
If any movie I could watch over again, it's The Holiday with
You
Emma
want to
Roberts.
watch Maestro too. You know you do. You want to watch it again.
I'm going to buy the blue. I'm going to get the blue. Ghostbusters versus New Ghostbusters. Oh, that's a
my God.
Do you not like Ghostbusters? I love Ghostbusters.
I like the game at Niagara Falls.
Oh my gosh.
Like Clifton Hill, where you get to go and like shoot all the ghosts.
Oh my God, that's like such that's such a unique like pull. Oh my gosh, people have no idea what we're talking about.
I know.
Clifton Hill Night. That's so niche. Everyone's like, are we? Again, the audience is probably saying, are they saying words? What are they saying?
I know. But there's a small section of the audience who knows exactly what we're talking about.
Yes, that little section. That's who we're aiming for. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I have to let you go because it's getting late now.
Yes, to be determined on our big sequel show.
Yes. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to Shane Ford, Juliana, my grandmother who nicely supported the show.
Thanks, Grandma.
She gave me $20. And thank you, Mother, for giving me the kitty blanket.
Thanks, Mom. That's a cute blanket.
The background. I know. Look at this. It's got.
And the backdrops. It's pretty fire. I like it a lot.
Yes, I have all the signs.
I also love the Oscar hat.
Party. Oh yeah. Yes, I think it says party time.
Nice.
Yes. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been a great episode. A lot of laughs in this one, and a lot of tears because I cried. As
the atomic bomb and like a coked out composer will do for you.
Yes. And he talks nasally, you know. But yes, thank you guys, and see you in May.
Bye.
Bye.